Okay, Dark, I'm going to give you this like you want me to, but first of all, I want to say this. I saw where you posted to Dummy Sebastian Nightwalker's page. You called him his own worst enemy. Yes, that's true. I saw that. But you also went beyond explaining it to him. You went to explaining that if he really wanted to help the vampire community, a bunch of other stuff you explained, that he would work with people who are trying, like me, who are trying to rebuild the vampire community of the 1990s through the very early 2000s before the internet destroyed that. You offered him the olive branch for me. And what did he do? He throws it back in your face and in the same swing proves everything you said in that post about him. He's not there to make friends. Well, anybody can put two and two together and realize he's not there to rebuild what has been lost. The vampire community from 1995 to the very early 2000s, when there were physical clubs that were strictly goth and vampire, when there were still probably more stores then than there are now, when people wasn't divided. No, he's not interested in rebuilding that kind of community. He's interested in talking about the community and getting people to come there and kiss his ring. That's what it's about. He doesn't want to work with me or anybody else that's been around since the 90s when it comes to the vampire community, because then he's just one among, he's, as the Eastern Orthodox Church puts it, one among equals. That means he's got to step back and realize that, hey, every other person that's been in the vampire community from 1990s, from 1991, 92 on up, has just as much of valid say as he does. And he doesn't like that. Now, I'm going to get on to what I was going to say. The vampire community from the 90s to early 2000s was more friendly, more family-based. And when I say more family-based, it means people were treated like family. They weren't treated like, oh, fuck you, you East Coaster, or fuck you, you West Coaster, or this or that. I mean, it wasn't, the big rivalries that you see going on now, it wasn't like that. The covens were more local. Some were regional. I mean, if you had a coven in whatever city in Alabama, when I say regional, you had a branch of it somewhere else in Alabama. Or if it was close to Mississippi, maybe went over to Mississippi, or maybe went over in Georgia or something. It was regional stuff. It was local, but they had some regional. You didn't have the big national outreaches like you see now with houses and stuff like that. On top of that, you had legitimate nightclubs that were goth or vampire, that was that 24/7 day. Open or close, that's what it was. It wasn't a rented venue. I mean, that's what most clubs were back then. You also had some rented venues, but generally a person renting somebody's space to run a club one or two nights a month was either somebody just trying to profit off of it, or they were trying to build up their reputation and their money to actually start their own club. But it wasn't all internet-based like it is now. People talk, the vampire community is decentralized. There's no kings and queens. We're regional or we're just local. Well, all the time turn around trying to push themselves as the voice to listen to, trying to push themselves as the person to go to, so that what you really have nowadays is a decentralized centralization. And what that is, you have certain people in the community, the vampire community, who try to keep the status quo as it is. No real 24-hour-a-day dedicated clubs. So the community can't really build up, and they can keep it online with somebody renting a venue here once or twice a month, or there once or twice a month. So again, they can keep it on the internet, and everybody listen to what they're saying on the internet, and then they can keep it decentralized like that, but centralize it around their voice. So what I want to do is create an organization that is going to lead up to creating a parallel vampire goth community that anybody can be a part of, regardless of whether they're a goth, they're a vampire. They don't even have to be a part of the organization I'm founding. They can be a member of House Kefaru, Temple of Vampire, Arlo Strigoi V, any group or even no group at all, in regards to their affiliations, can still be a part of it and know that they are in something that is not just internet based and it is regional and also local. So yes, what I'm trying to do is rebuild the old school Vampire and Goth community from 1995 to about 2000, 2001 with a difference this round compared to what it was back then when the internet was just starting to get started as far as the Vampire and Goth community goes. Man, this time there's a whole lot more accountability. And a person that says they're an elder can't just shout people down. They can't just, well, I'm an elder, I go back to 1986. And people are expected to take that. No. This time around, with the way I'm trying to rebuild it, is this right here. You want to be an elder? Show yourself to be an elder by starting a house, starting a coven, write books, actually do the work to lead. In other words, this is kind of what I'm trying to do is a reboot of the vampire community back to 1995 to 2000, 2001, and it'd be completely parallel and outside of the current vampire community. In other words, people are going to be a part of it, are going to have to get back to working and building locally, building regionally, not just get online and say, hey, y'all, join house such and such, I'm a vampire elder. It ain't going to work like that now. It's going to be right back like it was back then. People want to be an elder, they have to work on it. But this time they can't make no claims saying, blah, 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 I'm an elder. They have to show the proof. They have to show they're working to build a community. Show they're working to sustain the community. Show that they're actually working to help members in the community that are down and out. Showing that they are actually representing the community. To members of the community. Not trying to get and represent the community to the news and stuff like that to turn us into what the mainstream vampire community has become. A corporate organization that is essentially decentralized while trying to centralize around a few people. So there you go. Have a nice day, Dark. Stay strong.